Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Run Ultra podcast. I am Robin Leafley. Kate is not available today, so I'm flying solo. So today, talking to Holly Wootten, the winner and new course record holder of the Dragon's Back race, that incredible 6-day journey across the entirety of Wales over a few bumps, shall we say, and blimey, not the weather that you would want for that kind of journey this year either. Not that I can imagine over that stretch of days it's ever been really welcome conditions for any of the runners. My only reference personally with the Dragon's Back race is it's one of only 2 races that my dad knows about and therefore has said, Robin, you like doing big races, why don't you do the Dragon's Back? The other race, and only race I say race, the only other big run he knows about is the Bob Graham. So I've yet to do either the Dragon's Back or the Bob Graham, and I'm not looking to do either in the near future either. So he's just going to have to be unimpressed until I've finally got the hill legs that you must need to do something like this. It must be truly galling to prep for. I'm excited to hear how Holly's training went up to the race to be able to traverse this terrain and this elevation. It's at such incredible speed. So yeah, wow, what a treat. I cannot wait to hear what she says. I suppose just briefly before Holly joins the call, I may as well update you on my training. So I'm now 2 weeks out from the 24-hour track race and super looking forward to it. I've never trained this much and this hard for anything in my entire life. The last sort of 7 weeks have all been over 100-kilometer running weeks, which is new. It was new territory for me, just hitting 100k for one training week. So to have like blasted through another 6 and feeling super strong and not too tired from the training as well, just means that I'm super stoked, I suppose is the word for it. I just cannot wait to get on that start line at 12 o'clock, 20th of September at Battersea Park. And I've never raced down south before myself either, so I'm hitting a whole host of, hoping to hit a whole host of different personal achievements in this race. I have never ran 100 miles before, so I'd be hoping to do that by sort of 3 to 4 a.m. in the morning if things are all going well. I've obviously never done this type of race before. I've never done, let alone a 12-hour or even a 6-hour track race before. But in the build-up, I have really enjoyed, and yes, enjoyed is the word, running around a track on some of my long runs. I think I did three long runs running around the track, sort of 3.5 hours each, and all of them were surprisingly enjoyable. Like the fact that you can really zone out, not worry about the terrain underfoot, and just it's really peaceful. There's no cars or anything. This track in Macclesfield near where I live was the gym and leisure centre doesn't open until 7 o'clock, but I was making sure to get there for sort of 6 in the morning to make full use of the day, and it was really nice and relaxing to just keep plodding around, ticking off lap after lap, sort of checking the time on my watch, trying to do sort of 2 minutes 10 per lap to practice that first start pace for the race. And yeah, what an enjoyable thing it is to be able to have so much nutrition and everything just plonked on the middle, on the inside of the track, so that you can just run free without a backpack, anything on. Not like the Dragon's Back is, where you have to carry a whole load of stuff, although it's not like the Spine. I suppose you've got them setting up the tent for you at each multi-stage spot checkpoint. Yeah, so couldn't be more of a stark contrast, could it, from one to the other? But there we go. That's just that's what I'm doing, and that's why ultra running is just such an incredible sport. There's just so many different things that you can dip your toe into, and I feel like I'm really hoping that this is the the genre that I fit into. So all going well, maybe I'll just be doing these for years. Who knows? It's a big mystery. I could just end up vomiting and pooing myself out of the race and deciding that maybe this isn't what I want to do. But I can imagine that I'd want to get some revenge and come back even after if that happened anyway. So it really is sort of a who knows, a big question mark. But yes, very excited, very prepared, super ready for it. Circling back to the Dragon's Back, may as well just list the results while I'm waiting for Holly to join me. So she finished in 50 hours 46, which was 3 hours ahead of the previous course record held by Lisa Watson. Then behind her was Jodie Gold in 61 hours, and then Leanne Van Dyke in 62 hours. And in the men's race, it was David Parrish who took the first place and overall win in 48 hours 40. So he was just over 2 hours ahead of Holly. A seriously quick time. I wonder how close that is to the course record. It's still 3 hours off Simon Roberts' course record, which is just astonishing, isn't it? How do people do that? Second place, Ed Brewer in 52 hours 25, and in third place, I think it's Ewan. Is that how you pronounce it? Ieuan? That's a lot of vowels, isn't it? Belshaw in 57 hours 53. I hope it's Ewan. Yeah. Wow. So that's the 1, 2, 3 for both the females and the males. There were a seriously high number of drops to the hatchling and dropouts of the race, as you can expect, because, and I'm sure Holly will talk about this in more detail, there was a lot of rain and made it very difficult apparently for the runners to get their kit dry before the next day. And that must have been a real tricky thing to navigate. So Holly is here. Let's hear it from the girl and the winner herself. Hello, Holly. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just let you know, we're recording from the offset here, so it's
okay.
We're straight in.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm definitely better today than I was yesterday in terms of moving around. I think I spent the vast majority of yesterday with my feet sort of as high as I could have them, so that they wouldn't swell and whatnot. But no, I'm feeling all right today.
Have you had much swelling? I've seen some horrible pictures from other people.
To be fair, no, I shouldn't really complain. Mine's not been too bad at all. I think some of the pictures that I've seen have been quite awful. But yeah, there's been a little around like ankles, feet, toes, but nothing too bad.
Okay, great. Do you think that, so you run in ultras, don't you? What shoe did you wear, and how do you think that helped you, or was it good in the race?
So I had 3 shoes with me. So I had a pair of I had 2 pairs of Timps. So I had Timp 6s, which come out I think in spring, and then the Timp Boas.
Mm-hmm.
And I used those for the more technical days. So I used those for day 1 and 2. And they were really good. They're very nimble shoes. Had we have gone across Crib Goch, they would have been definitely really good for that.
Right.
And then for the rest of the week, I wore the Olympus 275s because I wanted some comfort.
Yeah.
And they're definitely there's a lot more cushion with them, and there's actually more lug. And given how wet it was, that was quite useful.
Yeah, how does for people who don't know the course, how does day 1 vary to the rest of the journey? Is it massively different?
Yeah, so each day is actually really quite different. So day 1 is an incredibly brutal introduction. It's about 50 kilometers, and you're around 4,000 meters of climbing. It's just yeah, it's quite tough. And you've got the first section of it is sort of it's all gradually uphill until you drop down into Ogden, and that's a lot more grassy and everything. Although this year it was the ups were grassy, and then like anything that went slightly downhill, it was just a stream. So you could really clearly see the trods, which sometimes on that sort of grassy bit you can't see the trods like so clearly. But so that first section of day one is all quite grassy, and then you get into Snowdonia proper, and that's where it just turns to rock. It's just harder wearing.
Yeah.
You've really got to think about your feet, what you do, picking them up and all of that. You're clambering over things like Triffin and then going scree slope, and you've got the glidders, and then you eventually make it to Penny Pass.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's all a lot more technical. Then you look at something like, say, even day two, you suddenly get more bits of road chucked in there. And yes, you do have some really wild terrain when you're going over the Rhinogs towards the end. But you have got long sections where you actually need to be able to be A, shifting on the road, but B, wearing something that isn't going to absolutely kill you. So you've got bits like going over Connect where maybe you want to have a fell shoe, but actually the long period of road that you've got out of the water point and off towards the reservoir, you don't want to be in fell shoes for that, because you're just going to brutalize your body for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
So it's quite a mixed day. Day three starts off a bit rugged and then transitions to more of a trail race. Day four is a really weird one because you're either running on road or you're running on bog. And having something that works for those is just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, and you're transitioning constantly. Whereas day five, if you wanted to, you could do a shoe switch. The first half of it is very low, very roady, going through Llandovery. Then you're going over the flats, and for that you want to have more grip, more cushion, and everything. And yeah, something that you can tear up steep uphills and steep downhills. And then day six is a road ultra, effectively. Bits of trail, yes, but you could get away with road shoes for that. So it's a very mixed week.
So like the mixture between days, there's no options to change trainers or anything like that in between, is there? It's what you start with and you stuck with it.
Well, you can change. So because there's enough room in your drop bag that you get at the support point each day. So there's 2 points where you can refill things other than going into shops or pubs or whatnot. Which there aren't that many opportunities to do that. But so there's a water point and a support point every day. And a lot of the time it's just dictated by where there's going to be a good road point for them to be able to get into. So your water point is literally just water. Your support point, it is water and your drop bag. Which is up to 2.5 kilos. So in that, you could have a pair of shoes. Often people will have some socks. You'll have your resupply of your food, and then maybe a few other bits and bobs that you might need for while you're in the support point. So in my head, originally, I had planned to do some shoe switches during the week. However, it was just day one. It was so wet. I'm not getting another pair of shoes soaked, because you come out of the support point and you're straight up Triffin. So Ed Brewer did actually change his socks, and we had quite a giggle about this, because the path up Triffin was a waterfall. So we were all completely wet through, and he put lovely fresh socks on, and they lasted for about 30 seconds before they were just wet through again. And then there were a couple of days where I had planned that, and then just having a dry pair of shoes for the next day then ended up being sort of more important. And so I ended up pulling out the Olympuses earlier than I was going to. I was only going to put them on at the support point at day 3, but I was like, no, I'm just going to do it at the beginning. I couldn't bear the thought of trying to put either one of my pairs of Timps on, because they were so disgusting. They just ended up in a bag within my bag, just soaked for the rest of the week. But yeah, I think lots of people have different ways of doing it. But this week it was so wet at the start that I think everyone was just like, no, we'll just grin and bear it.
And that's what I heard a lot about, was just that it must have been so difficult to. I mean, was it nigh on impossible to get anything dry between days?
So the first dry camp that we had was day 4. So yeah, everything. I mean, we tried many things. So normally there's a drying tent, but this year was the first year that they didn't have one, because last year it had nearly caught on fire because people had put their clothing on the actual machinery itself rather than just hanging it up. So they were like, no, don't want to have that risk. Fair enough. But this is the first year where, my God, did we need it? Yeah, just nothing would dry. You would try and wring it out. You try and hang it up in the tent. We tried having it in our sleeping bags with us to see if general body heat could get it to dry out, but no, nothing would dry. So in the mornings, unless you had enough kit with you to be wearing dry stuff every day, you'd be putting something wet on. Yeah, exactly. Which I had brought. So I brought with me, what was it, three short sleeve tops, a long sleeve top that I could wear. So I had 4 days of dry tops, and 4 days of dry sports bras, 4 sets of shorts. In hindsight, I wish that I'd taken 6, but I did have enough socks for the whole week. I actually had enough socks to be doing changes every day as well, which I didn't need to in the end. That was, I think mentally for me, that was quite nice. In the morning, I'd be like, okay, I'm not putting on something damp. I'm not starting cold. I'm starting something dry. I know I'm going to almost instantly get wet through, but it just felt a bit nicer than you just see some people and they'd just be there like shivering in what they've just put on. And yeah, it was mad weather. But then at the end of the week, everything was drying. I remember we got into camp. So we got into camp on day 4, and I mean, it'd still been a little bit showery during the day, but the sun was out, like it was beaming. It felt really warm as we got in. So I got into the tent and I just started like throwing my stuff out so that it would be outside and it would be drying, and then I was going to go and hang it up on the washing line, but I was just chucking it out of the tent, and then all of a sudden I could hear this massive like giggle coming. And it was Jodie had just got into camp because we were tent mates, so she just got in and all she was seeing was clothing just being chucked out of the tent, like someone was having a little hissy fit and being like, right, I'm done, and just throwing everything.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas I was like, it's sunny, I need it to dry straight away, so I was just launching it out. But yeah, that from that point onwards, things started drying, which was nice.
That's nice. So, like, how do you say Jodie was your tent mate and she ended up coming second? Is it completely random who you get assigned with, or are you able to choose in any way, or? Yeah,
so when you sign up, there's a couple of things that you get asked, and one of them is you can allocate yourself to a tent. So you don't see who else is in, but you can allocate yourself to a tent number. And it will be like there'll be all female tents, all male tents, or mixed.
Right.
Or you can say, I really don't mind. So we wanted to be in the same tent, basically. So we just went with the same number. And that's because, we've known each other for a long time now. So we met, we were both doing this thing with Tribe called Run for Love, which was 260k round the Azores, so 6-day multi-day, not to race. So it didn't have times or anything. It was just a challenge that everyone was doing to raise money.
Yeah.
And in the lead up to that, we wanted to do a training run that was as long as the long day. So mentally, we were kind of okay for that, because at this point, Jodie had done loads of these like long, crazy multi-day things. I'd done not very much and was very limited by it. So some mutual friends were, we should all do it together. So Jodie and I met at 4 a.m. in Trafalgar Square towards the end of October, so like properly dark, chucking it down with rain for a run to try and get down to Brighton, which we messed the nav up and we actually ended up in Hassocks. So that was how we met. We've done a number of things since then. But yeah, so she was an epic candidate to have for this. So pleased with that she was doing it as well.
Yeah, it's so nice to just have someone familiar there, knowing at the end of the day that you've got each other there for support as well. Must have felt like, well, I can't, like, if you were ever having a really low moment, like, I can't quit because then they'll be in the tent by themselves, or maybe you'd go down to the hatchling, I don't know. But yeah, that must have been a real comfort to have a friend there every day. Like, it must have helped drive you each on, I would have thought.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was really fortunate this year, and so like Jodie was there. I had another friend there who was also in the tent, and then like, I know Ed as well.
Yeah.
Because we've done a bunch of sky races and stuff together. So yeah, it's really good having a few familiar people there. I mean, you do end up making such incredible friends throughout the week, but you've got someone there who's like properly in your corner. Is really brilliant. So yeah, when we were both having moments where just sort of questioning things or just needed almost like a little space outside of what was going on, yeah, it was great, especially like when I was getting into the race mindset and everything, just having someone to talk to that was outside of certain elements of that was really handy.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you get out to recce any of the course before you did it? What was training like in the build up?
So training in some ways wasn't ideal, in other ways it went really well. So last year, because of work, I'd slipped a disc in my back, and that kind of curtailed running things. I had to take a bunch of time off, built back up to things slowly, and then ARC 25 at the beginning of this year was like the first sort of tester race of is my body holding itself together. And had a couple of flare-ups again because of work sort of after that, which was starting to make things a little bit worrying about the build up to Dragon's Back, because I was having to drop things off, couldn't kind of up the volume as much as I wanted to. But then the last couple of months have gone really well. So Scarborough Sky Race became the next like testing bit of is it going to work, which I was doing that because in my head I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of similar to day one, so I'm going to do Scarborough Sky Race. 14 peaks I then did, and that follows most of day one's route anyway, so that served as like a recce and sort of getting out there and getting a feel for it. And that's I used to test various things. So I used to test whether the shoes were going to work on that terrain. So I tested the Olympus 275s on that, and I'll say the Timps are definitely more day one. The Olympus there's slightly too much shoe for things like Crib Gock.
Right.
But I used that to rule things out or rule things in. Tested my nutrition strategy, which went abysmally for 14 weeks, but it was all like learning points. And then the big thing I guess out of that weekend was a bunch of us became like a really tight knit training group, or like a set of friends. So like myself, Keith Wigley, Steph Natman, and Hugh Chatfield, like we all like had a bit of an epic weekend for a variety of reasons. It was really good fun. And so out of that, Hugh has been unbelievably helpful in the lead up to Dragon's Back. So I had some recce's planned in, but then going through the map beforehand with him, talking through various signs, talking through various strategies and everything, meant that because I only recce'd in the end, I only ended up recceing bits once. So like I split the days into either halves or to 2/3, 1/3. But was only getting out on them once. So I needed the one recce to be really good. So getting that time of like going through the map, discussing things with him, checking through various different GPX files and everything from everyone else, and then testing kit, testing nutrition strategy, testing all of that stuff whilst I was on course was really helpful. So that was like a big week in August. I think I did ended up doing maybe like 100 150k or something like that, 160k out en route over the course of like 5 days.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was epically helpful.
Yeah, that must have given you a lot of confidence to see the same things again, and knowing that you knew the terrain and what it was going to be like, to help you pick the shoes, as you'd say as well. Yeah,
and I think I was very lucky with this, but the really helpful thing was the weather that I had on the recce days. So I had really claggy weather for going over Cadair Idris when I was recceing it. Right. So the weather on race day was much worse, but I'd been up there in like little to no visibility, and so I knew how everything looked when it was like that. So I was really comfortable with doing that. We also had kind of crazy weather for 14 Peaks, with it coming in and out. Again, not as claggy, but I've been up there when it's been really claggy. So again, felt really comfortable. And yeah, day 2, the clag was in and out. And again, when I'd recceed that, the clag was really in and out. So I think it was really good that I'd seen it. I'd seen the route where I couldn't see the route, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And actually, really lucky considering the last couple months of weather as it was, being mainly hot and sunshine the whole time, that you managed to get that experience is very lucky.
I know. I thought at the time, I was like, oh my God, typical me. I'm getting bad weather for my recce's, and thought it was like unfortunate. But yeah, it turned out to be like brilliantly reassuring during the race.
So when did you, so you didn't end up going over Crib Goch, which was my own personal like reason or excuse for never signing up to a Dragon's Back. It's like, I could never go over there. Did you find out first thing that morning, or did they try and make the adjustment in the race?
So we got told the day before that it was possibly going to happen.
Right.
And originally we were told, so registration was told that the call will probably be made at 9 a.m. So we'll find out en route. And so I knew that if that was the case, I was maybe going to hear at the support point, depending on what time we got into there and what time the message got back, or I wasn't going to hear until penny past, until it was actually going to happen. So mentally, I'd kind of prepared myself for that. But then they made the call first thing in the morning. The weather was like, it was pretty obvious what it was going to be like during the day, and so they were just like, no, we're going to call it now, and then everyone knows, and everyone can load up the right route, and it's all good. Everyone's going to be ready. So we went out on day 1 knowing that we weren't going to be doing Crib, which I think I prepared myself that it wasn't going to impact me sort of either way when we were going to find out. But I think it was good knowing at that point rather than just beforehand in terms of measuring out effort and everything. Yeah,
just like mentally, that is just good to know. Not that you would have struggled on it anyway with all sort of your Sky Race Rocks experience. I think you'd have been fine over there anyway, wouldn't you?
I've been over a couple of times now, so I was slightly disappointed that we weren't going up it. But then I've never been up the pig track, so I was like, okay, well, I get to experience the pig track. That's fine.
It's another thing to tick off at least, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've had a whole bunch of questions in, so I'm just going to try and weave them in where it makes sense. And I suppose Gazitude has asked, what was your best and worst day of the race?
So best day was day 4, I think. It just clicked. It just went so well. You've been really great and have been really supportive through the week, and we've had a big chat on Wednesday evening, because my fueling strategy had just gone to pot through the first couple of days, and so made a commitment of what I was going to do, and I actually stuck to it. I was like, oh, funny, when I fuel I can actually run and do all right. And yeah, I just felt really good. I suddenly had made up the time that I'd lost on the guys, and I just felt like incredibly strong, and I was adoring going over the bogs. I love that kind of running, and yeah, I just felt that I was moving really smoothly. I wanted to nail that day. When I did Dragons back in 2023, that was the first day where I was running hard, because I'd run the first 3 days with a friend, and then they dropped down to the hatchling on day 3.
Right.
And so day 4 was the first one where I'd run hard, and it had gone quite well then. I wasn't a million miles off of Jakob's time with that. And so I was like, okay, I was telling myself all day, day 4 is my day. Day 4 is my day. I know I'm good at this day. I can do this. I need to get back in the race as well. So yeah, and it just, running into the support point was epic. The support from all the runners, from the people spectating, my dad was there, and then the volunteers that were in at the support point was huge. And then I saw Ed, and I'd caught him, and I knew that I'd set off more than the time that he was ahead of me. I'd set off more than that behind him, so I knew I'd overtaken him, so I knew I'd gone into second. So yeah, I just felt great. So that was really good.
Just before we move on to the hardest day, was there a good sort of relationship about him, because you're mates anyway? Did you throw that in his face at all that you caught him up, or?
No, not at all. No, he's really good mate, and I was so pleased with how well the week was going for him. And no, he was fantastic. He was so supportive and pushing me on with that bit, and that he was like, "You're looking really great. Like, it's really impressive to see how you're moving." So yeah, he's very much a hype person. Nice. So he's always going to be there and be in your corner regardless of if you're competing. So yeah, that was really cool. We ran together out of the support point for a while, so that was really nice. But
awesome. Yeah, you can move on to the hardest day now.
Okay, so hardest, I think there's like 2 bits that stick out as hardest for me. So Cadair Idris was a real low. Like the weather was mad. It was warm, so the cold weather kit had been put into place, which absolutely can see why like it needed to be, because so I was coming out, I think maybe second to last in camp. I think David was out just ahead of me, but so I was one of the last ones out of camp, if not the last. And so the people that I was seeing up on Cadair, some of them had set off really early, and the speed that they were moving at in that weather, you could see they had everything on, and they were still like really cold. They're having to stop to work out their nav. Like, you can see why the cold weather kit was put into place. But as I was running out of camp and running up there, I was like, I'm sweating already. I've got a thin t-shirt on, a thin waterproof on. I'm already sweating, and I just knew that as soon as I was going to start climbing, I was going to be wet inside, wet outside. It was just going to be wet, and my temperature was going to drop. And yeah, I couldn't see David ahead of me, because I think that was it. I think he'd set off like a couple of minutes ahead, and so I was like, oh, okay, well, hopefully I'll be able to see him at some point. And I couldn't. Maybe we've taken a different line, so maybe that's why. And it was just this beginning point of not really seeing anyone. The people that I did see, everyone was very much in their own bubble, really suffering and having a hard time. And so I just felt really flat. I then realised that I hadn't been eating. So I ate some food, kind of picked myself up and started feeling a bit better, started catching up with people, started moving better, hit some good lines, got down to the water point. My dad was there, gave him a big hug, and then kind of nailed the next section. And so came out of it and felt really good. So that was a low that kind of I turned around, because I'd thought that I'd got all in my head, and I was like, oh God, like I've scuppered up the race now, like I've fallen behind, like that's it, I'm out of touch with everyone, I'm not going to be able to crawl it back, this and that. But yeah, pulled myself up and ended up, actually, I think I only lost 3 minutes on Peter and Ed that day. Lost a bit more time on David, but yeah, managed to close close the gap back that I'd lost on Cada, and didn't lose any more time on David after that point. The other big low was day 5, which I was so excited about. The first part of it, like body aches and pains and everything, and was slowing down. David had set off a couple of minutes behind me and it sort of caught up, and I was just a little bit low from that. But I was going through the motions of the new aches and pains that were coming up, trying to compartmentalize them, put them to one side, just be comfortable with the new hurt. And then once I'd done that, and then I was like, right, okay, now I'm feeling a bit better. And I was pushing on, and we have Bambacriniog, which like the climb went really well, the descent went well, nailed the bit across, and then got to the support point. And Fangir is a wall. It's just so steep. And I felt like I really pushed up that, felt really strong, really good. So like, okay, getting myself back in the game. This is it. Like, I'll catch back up. These are my mountains. I'm ready for this.
Nice.
And then my foot went, and every step on uneven terrain, I was getting with my right foot, I was getting this sharp shooting pain in the middle of it. So I was then like, oh, okay, well that's, now I'm into survival mode. So the switch, I found it really hard, the switch in my head from being like, okay, that's it, I'm trying to close the gap so that it's within an hour so that I can push it to a chasing start on the final day.
Yeah.
But that's now gone. Okay, I just need to try and work out how to get to the end. And the pain was getting worse, and then it was suddenly like, am I going to have to stop at Story Arms? Like, this now doesn't feel like sort of normal pain. This feels like I might be injuring myself. Like, trying to weigh all of that up and come into that, and yeah, switching from being in competitive race mode to being in survival mode was tough. And so I think that was a bit of a low, but again, sort of managed to find a way out of that. A lot of that was, I saw Jodie was having a really hard time, but she was running so well, but she was really suffering. So we had a little bit where we ran together. My parents were great. I saw them at a number of points. There were a few people who had come out on the course to see me. I didn't know who they were, but they had just come out just to, like, with their dogs or whatnot, just to see me running. That, which was then like, okay, well now I can't not keep going.
No, you can't.
You know, and then I linked up with Ed, so I finally sort of caught up with Ed, and we then went up Corndu together, which was really, really great. And then we covered a lot of that next bit of ground together, and re-linked up on the final bit across the top, and just trucked it in. And yeah, it was, I think, like they took some videos of us at the finish and popped that out there. I think you can hear that we were just like a little bit emotional at the end. I think it was the first time I'd come into camp and I wasn't like super bubbly. Like, I was just a bit broken.
Yeah.
And we kind of both were. And so it was a low, but there was a nice element to it.
Yeah. I mean, that 5th day though, it just looks brutal. After everything you've done, just the stats alone by themselves just look so tough for people. But to it's such a huge point in the race. Like they say that you just make it to the end of that, pretty much everybody finishes day 6. And me and my friends were just watching the dots for the last few people, and it was close to the last 2 guys. Literally,
I know.
50 seconds.
They were like 2 minutes or less that they got in. It was mad. It was a crazy thing where it was like each night you'd sort of be trying to go to sleep or what have you, but you couldn't help but be like, how many people are still out? Are they going to make it? And like looking in on what was going on. And then a few of the days where it was coming down to being like seconds, you could hear the finish line team and they're fantastic. But you could hear them like willing people to come in. So you'd be there like at night. I remember, I think there was one, I can't remember which night it was, but Jodie and I are lying in our pod next to each other, and we're like looking at time on our phone, being like 9:57.
Yeah.
Okay, you can hear some noise coming. It's 9:58. It's 9:59, and then like there's a big cheer, and then it ticks over to 10 o'clock. We're like, okay, sounds like somebody got in just in time. Like, this is all good. But yeah, it's a weird thing.
Yeah, I can imagine the pull to want to be there at the finish line every day must be really strong, but then you really need to rest and recover for the day after.
Yeah, you need to get horizontal sort of as quick as you can. Yeah, it is a really odd thing. I think Ed and I were talking about it, in that you want to be there, or you want to be able to like cheer people in, but then you can't. So then you feel guilty because you're like lying there in bed recovering, or when you're eating your first helping of chips, and you're probably going to get through like 3 helpings of chips and dinner and all of this, and there's people still out there on the hill, and they're going to get in. It's going to be dark. They're going to be cold. They're going to then have to do their admin. They're going to have to like try and find some willingness to eat at that point in the night, get their heads down for a couple of hours, and then they're going to be back out again at 6. It's how the people towards the back of things are doing it. That is a willpower that is just beyond anything. It's amazing.
It is. It's incredible, isn't it? Because you look at that at any distance. The amount of time that some of these people have for even a marathon is just incredible. And you train yourself to the point to run, I don't know, like 3 to 4 hour marathon, and then you see some people doing it in 6. You're like, oh, I can't be out for 6 hours. And you expand that to something like this. It's like, how do they do it?
Yeah, I can't fathom it. And slightly funny little anecdote was, so we got told on day 5 afterwards that we were going to need to start at 6:30 on day 6, and I've been starting at like 8 every morning. I think the earliest I started, other than the first day where we were all starting at 6, other than that, I think the earliest I'd started had been 7:30, because I was like, no, I need my recovery, I need my sleep, I need my like this, that, and the other. So 6:30 just felt so early, and because you have the big hype of like, you've got through day 5, like it's the last day tomorrow. We kind of had the bit of like, David was then sort of too far ahead for challenging that or anything, so it kind of, day 5 camp sort of felt like it was like, oh, we're done, which is really silly because it's a 65k, 66k run the next day.
Yeah.
So we were then saying, oh my god, we need to actually get our heads down, and like we still have a really, really long way to go tomorrow. This is serious. We need to eat. We need to like do all this stuff. We need to sort out our admin. Looked at the thing, and it's at the printout where it says at the bottom like a note about start times. Spotted that it said 6:30. At this point, I think it was coming up to 10 o'clock, which is late for us with going to bed.
Right.
And just started panicking, like, I haven't done any admin, I haven't done any of this, I haven't done any of that, like, oh my god. And which is really silly, because some people are coming in at 10 o'clock and they're leaving at 6, and they haven't eaten, they haven't done like anything at all, and we're panicking. And I remember I went and found Shane. I was like, Shane, 6:30 is too early, I can't do 6:30. I feel so bad for saying that, because people were doing that every day, like 6 o'clock every day. And I had one day where I was told like start at 6:30. I was like, I can't do this.
Please don't make me do it.
Yeah.
So did you have like, was it sort of, you wanted to be asleep at 10 o'clock if you could manage it, to get at least 8 hours sleep? Is that what you were trying to do?
Well, I was trying to, between sort of 9 and 10 each night. And then I was setting my alarm for 6. For 6 each day. And that would then give me, or like 6:30 on a few days, that would then give me enough time to kind of sort myself out. I reckoned that I needed about like an hour and a half in the morning to get myself sorted. Which invariably I actually needed like a couple of minutes longer each time, because I never left at exactly the time that I had sort of planned in my head.
Yeah.
I'm just a serial faffer. But one thing about Dragon's Back, I've had a few people like ask about this as well, like sending messages that how much sleep did you get? You're not really going to sleep. Like, even though you're so tired, you're just not going to. And it's a lot of it is getting comfortable with that and just acknowledging and accepting that lying down in your tent, being horizontal and sort of trying to be in a restful state, that's enough. That's like that is good enough for you. Not getting sort of worried about the fact that you're probably not really sleeping much beyond a couple of hours each night, even though you're lying there for 8-9 hours. You're just restless. You're rolling around. There's noises going on. There's sudden downpours of rain, and that's really loud. But it's you're lying there. Your body is getting better. Is what you tell yourself anyway.
You just have to accept that that's the best it can be, and at least, and just keep telling yourself, I am resting. I'm gonna feel good tomorrow. This is all good.
All positive mindset. Mindset. Yes.
How different is it really that I'm not asleep? I'm still lying still.
Yes. Yeah.
It must be the same. Yeah, my friend Emily asked, like, what was your recovery plan between days, and did you prioritize sleep or food, etc.? Like, did you have a structured plan? Like, I'm going to sort my feet out and then get food. Like, was that all predetermined?
Yeah, so I'm quite lucky in that my feet for this week. So I had one blister, which was mainly because I was a little bit careless. And that's it. So I'm often quite fortunate with how that all works. I mean, I do also have like a foot care routine with things, so that definitely helped. But yeah, when I get in from the run, first thing is go to the tent. I was very fortunate in that I'd be getting back to the tent first. So I would just explode everything everywhere. I just started all my stuff out of my bag, which I did have it all in like predetermined little bags within there. So each day had its own bag, and then within that I'd have like the hill kit, the hill food, the support point food, and like a few other things like camp. So each day I'd have a camp bag. So pull that out, and that would have protein powder in it that I needed because I'd make myself a shake straight away. I'd have like a nut waffle straight away, so I'm having to think. I'd have a Voom fudge bar straight away. So I was instantly had something with me whilst I was faffing to start eating, and then to start drinking. I'd get wet stuff off and get dry stuff on, dry out my feet. Then I had a bunch of things from Trailskin. So there was some like reviving foot care that I'd put on in the evenings when I got in. And then I had like a zinc skin protection bit that I put on in the mornings, and some trench foot that I'd also put on. So yeah, those were the Trailskin bits that I had that were really helpful and probably saved my feet. Once I'd done my sort of faffing in the tent, it would then be straight away food. So go straight, get chips, get a thing of soup. So I've got like some food, some calories, also some liquid. Be making up the shake, which I also put cherry juice concentrate in it as well to try and help things. Another thing was I put compression leggings on to try and kind of help with that. Just make sure it was really warm, and then I'd go sit down, eat, decompress with people as they were coming in, like chat about how the day had gone, check in on how various people were doing on the route, and that would just start the process of just going back up and forth with eating for a while.
Right. Okay. So you just keep going, just keep eating as much as you can.
Yeah, just as much as you're able to, because like even if you eat constantly, you're still probably not going to be able to put in the amount of calories that you burned. So as much as you can manage the stomach, just keep eating.
Yeah.
Which are better on some days than others.
Yeah, and I've heard that that's the same for after the race as well. Like the week or two after, you need to just eat and eat and eat, and you're just never gonna recuperate even at that point. Body's
Yeah,
just so wasted from doing something like this.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
my friend Susanna, who was on the catering team and volunteering and stuff. Well, her question was, who was your favoritist catering volunteer? So
I'll go with that. The catering staff were incredible. They were so good, and the best bit was coming in and they'd have music on and they'd all be bopping away, and they'd been up since like silly o'clock
yeah,
because of breakfast. Because they've got to have breakfast there and ready for people that are going to be setting off at 6. So they're starting serving people at 5, like, which is madness. And they're so cheery, so lovely. They remember everyone when they're coming in and they have a chat with you. And then you see them at the end of the day and they're asking how your day has gone. And yeah, it's just, I mean, all of the volunteers are amazing. How they have the energy to be so positive all the time
yeah,
is just incredible. It's such a brilliant thing to feed off of. But yeah, the catering tent was fantastic. I love those guys. They're brilliant.
awesome. One of my friends finished the race as well. Adam Wade,
Oh
South
yeah, yeah.
African guy, and he said he was speaking the world of you and your dad.
Oh,
It just gave him so much encouragement on the course, and he really wanted to thank him for all the
yeah.
support that he gave.
Oh, pass that on. Yeah, my parents really, they said that they really enjoyed it, which I'm so glad, because they put so much into coming out for me this week. So I was really fortunate in that, like, on day one, I had my mum and my brother were there at the start, and they did day one. My mum then did day 2, did some very hairy drives to get to a few points. And then my dad did day 3, day 4. Both of my parents did day 5 and 6. And then a family friend, Kate, was driving my parents around on day 5. And she was brilliant. She meant that they got to so many more places than they had originally planned to go to. But what was really lovely was chatting with them afterwards, and they said that they'd had a really great time because they'd made so many friends along the way of other people that were out supporting,
Yeah,
well, out spectating the runners and cheering on their friends and getting to learn about everyone's different stories and whatnot, because they'd get to a point early so that they wouldn't miss me. And invariably, because I'd be setting off at similar times each day and the other people would be setting off at similar times, I'd be crossing similar people at similar points during the day. So they were meeting the same people day in, day out, and seeing the same runners out on course as well. So they picked up like a couple of people that they were then also cheering on. And yeah, it was really lovely. And yeah, dad mentioned about Adam, and like went and had a good chat with him at the end, and Adam's parents were really good with my dad too. So no, it was really cool.
yeah, it must be so nice to just have them as like an ever present on the course as well, to sort of again keep you going. There's so many factors here that just like can like build up your confidence, and I can see why you've had such an astounding race, because you've just got all this support behind you, like the training and like other people on the course that you're running with, and then people back in the tent and everything. Like it's you've really like encompassed the whole thing to really support yourself at every window that you can. And I think
because I had in my head, because I knew what it was like from doing it the first time, and like from having a couple of days where I was running hard and I was starting last and then running through people. And with how I did it in 2023, I was running past a lot of people that I've been running with on the first couple of days. So they knew me and they were really supportive, and that was really lovely. And so in my head, like coming into it, I was like, oh, okay, well, it's going to be really nice because every day I'm going to bar the first day, because we all set off at the same time. I was telling myself every day it's going to be really nice because I'm going to see so many people as I'm going along. And everyone that you go past, any little bit of positivity that you give to them, you get back in abundance. So it just breaks things up, because especially I was spending an awful lot of time running on my own. But I wasn't. So it was like everyone went past, it was like, oh, you know, well done, like, how are you feeling? And just having those little bits of interactions and getting something back from people was such a big boost. And the support was beyond anything that I could imagine that it was going to be. I had points where I'd catch up with like some of the hatchlings, and they'd sort of stand to one side and cheer and everything, and they were all just so positive, so willing me on. And then made some good friends with people along the route, and they were like my biggest cheerleaders as I was going. Like Kaz was fantastic, Colin was amazing. Just their positive energy that they give you out on the route was, it's a brilliant thing where it turns into, rather than being a race against each other, it's a race again. It's all of us against the race.
Yeah.
And everyone's willing everyone to manage to do it. And it's just fantastic.
Oh, that's lovely. That's such like a wholesome view of it. It really unfortunately makes me really want to be a part of it.
Don't say unfortunate. I think it's brilliant. So
maybe one day. Katie Tree asked if you had a mantra for when things got tough, or
So I had a couple of different things. So for the weather, so I do like bad weather, and so I had a thing of like, we like wet, we like wind, because I do, but I mean that very much got stretched at certain point. But I think a lot of it was reconvincing myself of that. But then I think most of it was I've had so many setbacks and everything the past year and a bit, and so many difficult times, and like personal life, running things have gone in general in a very positive direction, and other things have been very difficult over the past year and a bit. And there were so many instances where it was looking like I wasn't going to get to the start line, like I wasn't going to get to, or I wasn't going to get to it in a position where I could compete. So that served as a huge mental thing to call on, in that I got through all of this stuff that has been going on. I am here, I am in the race, I am competing, I'm not crazy for thinking that this was possible. And just trying to hark back to everything that I've gone through. This wasn't that hard by comparison. Like, I can do this because I've done all of that. And I think that kind of ended up being the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, whatever it is that you went through, I'm glad that you managed to use that as fuel in the race, and hopefully you can do vice versa. Like I've won the Dragons Pack race. I can do X, Y, and Z. You know.
Yeah.
The Yorkshire Ultra Adventurer asked, what song did she sing to herself when most in her head to keep her going over the 6 days?
So I know who this is, and he'll be wanting me to say. To be fair, it did come into my head. Renegade Master did come into my head, because I was back once again. But I don't know. I think because I'd gone out on recce's, and I had various points where, and I think Jodie talked a bit about this as well in one of her interviews. You have points where you think back to what you were thinking about when you were out on that recce, particularly if it was you were in a slightly more positive mindset. And so this is definitely something that would be lost on a lot of people. But it was a viral YouTube video from when I was quite young was the really weird song was it like "This Is My Horse is Amazing," which if you don't know it, I don't know if I'd recommend looking it up. It's really bizarre. but it's got a, as it turns out, has a really good beat to it. And for whatever reason, it came into my head on a recce of day 2 towards the end, and that kept popping up in my head as I was running along. So that was, I mean, it was bizarre. Then the number of odd things, I guess, that sort of you end up thinking through and that go through your head, and you haven't really got much control over it. But yeah,
No,
that went through quite a bit.
I'm absolutely going to have to look up that song that after result video.
And so the good thing about this is I was telling someone about it after it had happened, so after I'd done the recce, and I was like, right, am I just really weird that this was quite a feature of my childhood, that I remember this video? And I said it to people, and thankfully they knew what I was referring to. And then we went down a bit of a YouTube hole, but yeah, so that was okay. So I'm not completely weird. I do know that I've got some people that know about it.
Oh, I'm sure I'll probably recognize it when I have a look. But yeah, there was like an era, wasn't there, of all like the super like crazy YouTube.
Yeah, the super weird stuff, like the same bits around like the Harry Potter puppets, the ticking, the ticking noise. Yeah, it's around that time.
All right, nice. Yeah, Dumbledore.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well, I won't keep you too much longer. I've got a couple silly questions that Kate, who couldn't be here for hosting, has asked, like, dog or cat?
Dog.
A TV show or book?
Ooh. I really wish that I could say book, but I don't read as much as I would like.
I don't think anybody does.
No, I know. Because, I mean, I like book because book you then end up imagining more things. But I'd be more likely to do TV show, I guess. But no, I'll go book. I'll go book.
She's also asked skort or shorts, but I don't know what skort is.
A skort. So skort is it's a skirt with shorts attached.
Right. Okay. Oh, cool. I don't think I've seen too many of those.
So if you ever see anyone running in a skirt, it will be a skort.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Noted. And she also asked, what's the most indulgent thing you'll do now in the post-race glow?
Oh, good question. I think maybe it was how much of a vegetable I was yesterday. I completely, like, I'm at my parents' at the moment because they live in Worcester, so it wasn't too far to get back. And even though they were like running around and everything after me last week, I am not in a position to be able to do that at the moment. And I didn't feel bad about just basically lying around, having my feet up all day and not really being able to do anything. And that probably would be it, I think.
Nice.
Just being a vegetable.
Perfect. And I suppose, I hate to ask this question, but have you got anything booked in next? What's the next race?
Gosh, so at the very end, so after everyone had finished and the event team was starting to get together and whatnot, I went over to Shane to thank him. And he was like, oh yeah, so might be a little bit too early for you to think about this, but you have an entry into one of the arena events. And so I don't know, maybe there's something that might come out of that. I'm in that terrible state right now of if you actually, Ed and I even talked about this. If you had asked me partway through day 6, would I ever do Dragons Back again? The answer was, and I quote what I said to Ed, I am never, ever coming back to do this ever again. I'm not going through this pain. This is it. I'm done. But I'm now in that ridiculous state where you forget everything, and it's just like, it's the most amazing experience. I'd definitely be back and doing it. Not next year. So, but no, I've not really thought too much. I'm starting to realise that I need to get things booked in because everything gets booked up. But at the minute, I've got OCC in the calendar for next summer.
Great.
But I'm thinking through a couple of races sort of earlier on in the year. Not 100% settled on which ones yet. But yeah, it's going to drop back down, I think, from the crazy distance to maybe more of my normal, like, sort of 30 to 50k. Although there's a potential potential that I might, for the first time, try a race that's over 100k.
Nice. Well, you're clearly good at pretty much everything that you set your mind to running wise. So I can't wait to see what happens next. And yeah, thank you for giving up your time today. Really appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Holly.
Cheers.